Hello everyone, my name is Muir, and this is X4 Foundations, and this is the Ares. You can get this ship from the Holy Order of the Pontifex, as well as two of the weapons that we are using, the Blast Mortars. But let's go ahead and go through the build real quick. This is my primary general purpose fighter that I put on any kind of ship that can carry ships, that can carry other ships, small ships. So what we have here are combat thrusters. Any that you can afford are probably good enough. We have combat engines and combat thrusters. Combat thrusters are very good at rolling and pitching. So what you would ideally do in this ship is roll and pitch to try and keep the enemy in your crosshairs. Right after that, we have Pyramid shields. I like to use Pyramid shields on small and medium ships, well, when they're used in mass. The reason for that is they have the shortest recharge delay and then the highest recharge rate, if I remember correctly. But to compensate for that, they have the lowest initial shields. So there is definitely that. The idea here is one of them starts getting attacked, then they're able to peel off as everybody else gets the attention of the enemy. They recharge their shields and they come right back and continue the fight. So what kind of weapons do we have? On the sides here, we have pulse lasers. Then on the middle, we have blast mortars. So, blast mortars are like super plasma cannons. The main draw of these is that if I remember correctly, they do some of the highest burst damage, but the projectiles don't move particularly fast, which is a bit of an issue. So let's talk about what these things are actually intended to do then. So the pulse lasers, these guys have about twice the DPS of a beam emitter. That means that when more shots are hitting, they can actually do pretty decent damage. The downside is that if around half of their shots are missing, then they are actually losing in DPS to the beam emitters. That's why if you really wanted to take this to its extreme, you could do beam emitters on the sides and then blast mortars in the middle. And the beam emitters, they're hyper specialized at taking down small ships, whereas you would look at these blast mortars, and these would be your anti-core. These would be your anti-medium, large, and extra large weapons. These have splash damage. So they actually have the ability to deal damage to a large and extra large ship hull, and shield batteries, assuming they're down, and also the weapon that those batteries are around. So you could triple dip on these, but it's unlikely that it might happen a lot. But you'll have to get through the shields first, which the pulse lasers will help with. The beam emitters will do incredibly little damage in that regard. But if you want, you could do beam emitters and then blast mortars on the sides. Software, whatever you want to throw on there. If it's only going to be flown by the AI, you really don't need docking computers. As for countermeasures, we don't have any missiles or anything, so flares works just fine. And for crew, just put a lot of crew people on there. My understanding is that small ships won't repair themselves. You have to instead repair them at a wharf or some sort of carrier or auxiliary ship. If, say, their ship components get knocked out somehow, I don't know if small ships can actually have their components knocked out, then they'd be able to repair those to get those back online, but that's about it. So, how's it fly is going to be everyone's question. Well, I've got you covered. Because you see, it's kind of slow. That's kind of the thing about the Ares. But it does have some of the highest shields of any fighter. I think it is the highest shields of any small ship. Now, one little trick about using combat thrusters is that you specifically want to turn off steering flight assist mode so that it doesn't want to continually bring you back to that. So you're not fighting it the entire time. It's always going to try and bring you back to this. So turn that off, and then you can just chase down enemy ships that you're trying to catch. As you can see, the pulse lasers, those things keep up with your cursor pretty quickly, pretty well. As you can see what's going on there. And yeah, it is pretty good at firing at things. The blast mortars are not really going to hit anything small. You shouldn't really try to rely on them to hit the small things. They will on occasion, but it's more of a fluke than anything. Alright guys, that has been the areas. You can get the ship and the blast mortars from the Holy Order of the Pontifex, and you can get the blast mortars from the Ministry of Finance if you don't want to be allied or friends with the Holy Order of the Pontifex. Alright guys, I will see you all later. Have a good day. Bye everyone.